speed demo and how to do all the parts for the car project. So obviously the first thing to do is to do the tracing. And really what's needed for that is the side view of the car minus the wheels, which I think is this guy. And really it could be done without that line. So it could just be the shape, the full shape of the side. Then we need half of the plan view up. I keep getting spam calls. Okay, we need half of the plan view, which is this guy, right? There's the plan view looking straight down on it, sometimes called a bird's eye view. So we need that piece, and we need the front view, which my front view, this was actually the front view, right? Without the mirrors, without the wheels, essentially. Okay, so we have that. And the way they get lined up is, well, to begin with, I was going to use this. I would probably do this. Probably group these things so they don't stick together. It's all the same vehicle, so in a way, the length of this should equal the length of this red guy here. So I'm going to grab maybe its furthest back point and move that down the red axis and touch that point. So basically the front and the back should line up, the front should line up because it's the same vehicle. Then what we'll do is we'll rotate this guy up. So I'm going to hit Q to rotate it. Probably grab the lowest point if I can. Turn that up 90 degrees. And then move it over. And really, this is all flat, but I'd look for the lowest point of this red car, which is probably this, and bring that over on the axis to line up with that. So it's the lowest points line up. You can see in the back, it's not lining up, but the lowest points line up. The front points line up, the back points line up. And then this one has to be rotated up 90 degrees. And then it has to be rotated over also on blue. So it's going to rotate this way in 90. And we'll put that in place. Which would be, now this one could really line up anywhere on this, but I'm gonna line it up this outermost point with that, and the same thing on this. All the bottom points have to line up. So I think this guy's transparent. The bottom point's all lowest point of it. And really what I want to do is pull this guy, give it excess this way, maybe a little excess this way. This way. And the one that's hard to see on the bottom, that's going to have excess. Actually, I'm going to shift over to another one, which is the same thing. And here's the bottom one. And I pulled it up, you can see. So it has excess up this way. And really, all the tops of everything should be lining up. I'm going to give it excess anyway. One way to check this is to, if I hide this, really the top should be lining up perfectly. So we might have to cheat this a little bit. I think I'm going to take this, hit S for scaling, grab this middle handle so I can and try and get the tops to line up perfectly. So the highest points should also match. Just tell me the height from the ground to the door, dot, 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 the bottom of the door, dot, 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 and how wide it should be. Okay, we're multitasking here. Anyway, so the top should line up again because it's the same car, so the top should line up. And then I'm going to unhide the glasses, unhide everything. Okay, so that's the setup. Probably a good idea if you were just starting this to, I'm going to hide this, to line up where the wheel wells are. So what I did was I went over and I traced the wheel wells, right, which is this piece right here. It's the shape of the wheel, not, it's the space around the tire, right? And I linked it, aligned from that shape to this point right here. So I'd have some reference point. It could really reference to anything. I could have referenced it to this point, would be a good one. I could have taken a line to the very frontmost point. That would also help me reference it. And so, let's see if I hide this. Right, this is my wheel well shape. And to tell you the truth, I don't even need this line. I just need the shapes of the wheel wells. This has excess on it over here, that's okay. As long as I have the shape and more, that's fine. And then a link to a point. Okay, so I had that set up. And I took it over here and I used that reference point, or I will use that reference point to line it up. It could be done up against a 3D car, but it's a little easier if I took this, I used that reference point on the far left over here, say, okay, that lines up with that point. So that's going to show me where that is. And the other thing too I could do, just kind of all at the same time, I could trace the windows, which you see I did here. That's the windows that are showing from the side. Same thing, I could also reference that point, which I believe I did there, and I could line those up the same way. That's probably the best order of things to do. Anyway, when you get to this point, we're going to do the intersection. These guys have to be good solid shapes. This is probably pretty simple. This is pretty simple. This one, I might test with Solid Inspector. I could go to the last tool, and those tools over there on the right side. Solid Inspector, it's all the way at the bottom. It says it's a solid, but if it gave me a choice to fix any errors here, I would fix it. It may come up and say short edges. That's okay. That shouldn't affect it. So now I'm going to do the intersection. I'm going to say intersect. Intersect is the fifth one. Intersect the side with the front view. And that chops it down to that. And then we're going to intersect the fifth one, the shape with that, and that gives us that, which is reasonable. It's not perfect of this system doing it this way, but it works pretty well. Okay, because, let's see, I had this lined up like this, so probably what I would do with this one, I should erase this line. Actually, at this point I can erase this line too, because it is lined up where it should be. And if I took this, I could pull this over and probably just touch the surface of the car with it. Could hopefully double click this one. So that's right up against the car. And now we have to punch in the wheel wells. The tires, I'm going to take this in. I'm I'm going to push it in maybe an extra foot. Same thing back here. So it's punching into the car. And let's see what I have at this point. This is probably a group right now. Right click, it says edit group, so it's a group. So it's group versus group. These guys are in the same group, but again, as long as they don't have holes in it, no extra lines, it should work. So I'm going to do subtract now. Third one, subtract this from this, and that punches in the wheel wells. That's all good. At this point, I will right click and make this a component. And then hide some stuff. Once that's a component, I'm going to move a copy and flip it. Take this guy, M-Alt, assuming you're on a school computer. Move a copy over. It's moving on green, so I'll click it in, and then right-click, say flip along green. If it moves on green, flip it on green. If it moves on red, flip it on red. So it gives us the mirror image. Grab a point, move it back over on the same axis, in this case green, put it together like that. Take this, move a copy out. So I've got really 3 components happening here. And then I should grab a tire. I'll do the tires separately. But one of the things I'm going to do here in this is get inside this. And actually right now this is just a component right now. In class I might have done this so that it's a group that lives in the component, but either way it'll work. If you want to edit it, just click on it until you get dots. Then I'm going to double click this surface and hide it. And that's going to hide the seam. I think everything in here. That's weird looking. This is weird because it looks weird from this. It looks sort of transparent on the bottom. I think that's what that is. And it's actually all there. So all I did was hide the space in between. That gives me no seam in this one. And I'm going to do the tires in a separate video.